It's a new month, and that means a brand new update to Quake Champions. Let's have a look at the patch notes and see what is changing this month. Of course, the big thing on everyone's minds with this update is going to be the brand new map, Molten Falls. I have some gameplay of that map playing now, but if you guys want to see a more detailed walkthrough of this map, where items are located, and just the general playstyle of the map, I encourage you to check the link in the description box down below for a video I've already completed on this map in its entirety. But let's get started with the actual changes in this patch. And for those of you that are wondering, I know this is going to be the #1 biggest concern. Are they fixing matchmaking? Are they going to take us back to choosing individual modes, or at least letting us select both solo and duo playlists? And the answer seems to be no. The answer seems to be no. However, this video is of course being made before the update comes out, so I encourage you to check on the 5th of July, roughly around 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, perhaps a little bit later, whenever the servers do come back online, to verify that for yourselves. But the private test server did not have any changes to that matchmaking, and I'm very sad about that personally, and I know a lot of other players are, but there's a lot of other things being brought into the game, so let's at least talk about those as well. First up, we're going to be getting some purchasable rename tokens. So these are going to allow you to spend real money or platinum in-game to rename your account. This is a bit unfortunate for a lot of players. They were kind of hoping this functionality would be free, but then again, this is not anything new, especially in free-to-play style games like this. Lots of games like this in the past have had the exact same thing where you must spend real money in order to rename your account. Some games have done with a system where you can rename once for free, and then after that you must pay, but in Quake Champions it seems to not be the case. It seems that you must purchase a rename token, unfortunately. Next up, the developers have added a UI tutorial within this next update. So once you boot the game up for the first time, you should be greeted by a tutorial that teaches you what all the buttons in the UI do. Most importantly of all of that, I feel, is probably the server selection button. Most people seem to not even know that it exists, and they need to be checking that frequently to make sure they're connecting to the best servers to optimize matchmaking times and connection quality. So, hopefully that tutorial will beat into people's heads. Use that button. Everything else is gravy on top of it, but that button in particular always gets missed and needs to get hit more often. There's also been a change to ranked playlists. You now must reach account level 10 before you're able to play 2v2 or duel. This is overall a good change. I'm happy to see it. I'm surprised it wasn't there when free-to-play first came out, but very minor thing. I'm glad it's there now. It's going to really help new players get directed into the proper game modes to start off in, to just learn the maps, learn the feeling of the game before they start trying to play competitive and get upset when they lose every single game. As for bug fixes, we have a lot of things affecting champions, the UI, and spectators, which you guys can read yourselves within the patch notes. There's only a couple ones that really matter, in my opinion, for the general average player. The big ones being Galena's totems can no longer be thrown outside of the map in order to cheese, so you can have 3 totems up at pretty much all times by having 2 hidden out of the map, and you drop a 3rd one down for instant overhealing of your entire team on a 15 or 20 second cooldown, depending on how many health orbs and how many hourglasses you're picking up. So this is definitely not a nerf to Galena, but a fix to a problem that Galena has had for quite a while now, and a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to be very, very happy about this. Another fix for Galena, actually, is that sometimes when throwing a totem, if you manage to directly hit a teammate or an enemy with the totem while it's flying through the air before it spawns, it'll actually get stuck there midair and will float midair forever. So that bug has been addressed as well, so thankfully Galena is going to be a lot more consistent now. Next up, we have a very small change that most of you probably won't even notice, but I feel it's noteworthy enough to at least mention. For those of you going to QuakeCon 2018 that are going to be playing Duel, you guys already know, Tempest Shrine is now going to be in the map pool for Duel. So now in the live version of the client that we're all playing at home, Duel is going to be available for Tempest Shrine, but only in custom games. It's not going to be in matchmaking, so if you go to play ranked, you're not going to play Tempest Shrine for Duel, but it is available in private match for those that want to practice, specifically for QuakeCon and any other tournaments coming up soon that may also decide to add Tempest Shrine to their Duel map pools. Next up, let's get into the really fun stuff. We've got some weapon balance changes, and I'm going to have, honestly, some opinions on some of these, but we'll try not to linger and dwell too long. First up, we have the Super Shotgun. This is being changed, and it's a very strange way of wording the change. This is pretty much just coming straight from the way that they code the game and not translated into a way that makes sense for us as players, but the Super Shotgun has, quote-unquote, cooldown 1,000 to 1,050 milliseconds. So what this translates to in real people talk is that the Super Shotgun has a slower rate of fire now. It's not crazy slower, but it is very, very noticeably slower. And this is a change that is likely precipitated by the fact that Super Shotgun has been made much, much more powerful and consistent in the June patch thanks to the reliable spread of the shotgun pellets and the increase in the number of pellets, which has thus increased the amount of damage this thing can do. It used to deal only 120 damage in a perfect shotgun blast, and now you're dealing quite a bit more than that. So they've tried to change it by making it so the rate of fire is a little bit slower. I personally am not a huge fan of this change myself. I kind of feel like the shotgun is becoming more of a single shot finish your opponent weapon as opposed to a primary usage weapon that you can just stick with and just shotgun somebody down at close range. Maybe that's good for the game, maybe it's not. I'm not completely sure. The Super Shotgun may be a little bit too easy to use, a little bit too consistent right now, but I would not want them to change the consistency of it, so this is a change that we're going to have to play with a lot to see if it really works out at the end of the day. But with Slash getting a buff, with Sword Lag getting a buff, with high-speed champions becoming more and more prevalent in the game, Anarchy is kind of making a comeback lately as well. I'm a little bit scared for the high-speed champions that can get up in your face and be super crazy aggressive with with rocket launchers, just running the game and making it so you cannot reliably super shotgun them down and punish them for what they're doing. I mean, maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's not that huge of a change and Super Shotgun will still work just fine, but I know that from my limited time playing this map, playing this new update on the PTS, that there have definitely been situations already where I have won fights or lost fights because of this rate of fire change on the Super Shotgun. Only 50 milliseconds, but it really does matter. So we'll have to wait and see what the metagame shifts to with this update, but I'm a little bit scared of the Super Shotgun right now, or rather how it might be a little too weak. Next up, for seemingly no reason whatsoever, we have some lightning gun buffs. So the radius of the lightning gun is being buffed by 0.01 meters. That is a very strange method of measuring, but this is how they are presenting it to us. So basically, the size of the quote-unquote shaft of the lightning gun, basically the diameter of that actual lightning that you're firing out, think of it as a long cylinder coming out of your gun that's just kind of sitting there, right? That diameter has increased a little bit. That radius has increased a little bit. So it's going to be thus a little bit easier for you to hit people with, and they've also seemingly upped the rate of fire of the lightning gun. So now your DPS is increasing as well. Went from a cooldown of 58 milliseconds to 55 milliseconds. Now, honestly, I'm not about to do the math to see what the DPS has increased to because, frankly, your aim is not 100%. It doesn't really matter, right? What matters is your personal accuracy with the LG, and, frankly, having a higher rate of fire on it just seems bizarre to me. I don't know why this change is happening. I don't know why the lightning gun is being buffed. In my opinion, the LG is currently in the best place it has ever been in Quake Champions' lifespan so far. I don't know why they're making it better. I don't feel that it's necessary, but maybe with Anarchy, Slash, and Sword Lag potentially making a small comeback in this update, as we'll discuss in the champion balance changes section, maybe it needs to happen, but I am currently just not seeing it, and I'm a little scared for this change as well. Next up, we have some nerfs to the Tri-Bolt. The projectile speed is being dropped by 400 UPS, and the time to explode is being increased by 1/10 of 1 second. This gun feels perfect, this update, to me. By comparison to what it is in the June update, this July patch for the Tri-Bolt feels absolutely fantastic. The Tri-Bolt still retains its deadliness. It's still becomes a weapon that is usable and viable and worth setting a route to pick up and worth using in particular situations, but now it's not quite as overbearing like it used to be. It's still ridiculous, silly powerful, and silly spammy, and very no-brain, can't aim, but it's not as overbearing as it used to be. It feels much more fair of a weapon now, so I am pretty okay with it, and I'm really happy about this change, more so than anything else. Moving on to champion balance changes. First up, we have one for Anarchy. Extra points decay rate goes from 0.33 to 0.5. Now, that sounds like a nerf, but it is not. This is actually a small buff. What this translates to in real human verbiage is that when every champion in the game is overstacked, when they have more than 100 health or armor, that health or armor decays at a set rate. For Anarchy, it decayed at a rate of 3 HP per second. By setting the decay rate to 0.5, it is now decaying slower. You're now decaying at 2 HP per second instead of 3. And I assume that also counts for armor overstacks as well, because it just says extra points decay, not health or armor specifically. So I assume that means both. So Anarchy is actually getting a small buff. He can stay overstacked for essentially, I guess that means what, 33% longer now? So pretty cool. Next up, much to the ire of duelers across the globe, Clutch is receiving some significant buffs. The shield hide time is being buffed from 1 second to 0.7 seconds. This means that whenever Clutch fires his weapon, the shield drops accordingly, because that's how Clutch works. He has a shield up, shoots a rocket, 1 second counts down before the shield reappears. So that's being buffed to 0.7. So now Clutch will be vulnerable after shooting while using his shield for a shorter amount of time. Should make him a lot more resilient against rockets and tri-bolts, and potentially against shotguns as well if your reaction time is really poor, but frankly, this is a buff that Clutch does not need, and he's getting it anyways. It'll help him become much more viable in TDM, that's for sure. Clutch is going to suck less for TDM, but he's also going to be way better in Duel, where he's already very overbearing at the current state of balance. Now we also have a small size reduction for Clutch. He's getting smaller, both his model and hitbox size. This is a change that a lot of players have wanted to see for the champion for a very long time, so I don't think anyone is upset about this particular change, because Clutch is still going to be really easy to hit, but potentially he will not eat as many shotgun pellets from super long range, so where other champions might take 10 or 15 damage, Clutch will generally take like 40, so hopefully this small size reduction will keep him a little bit more in line. Maybe he'll take 25 or 30 instead of 40, and that actually does, over time, help the champion overall. So this is seemingly a good change, despite the rest of the champion potentially being too strong. The cooldown on his shield is going from 40 seconds to 35. Again, I don't think this was necessary for Clutch, but at the same time, he's kind of a sitting duck without his shield, so he's very dependent and reliant upon this shield to stay alive in a lot of situations, just because his body is so fat. But like, the shield is so strong when he has it up that I'm scared of Clutch having the shield too often. I'm interested if maybe at some point they could rework his shield entirely, if they really wanted to keep the shield, into being a shorter duration but shorter cooldown ability. So you can only activate it specifically to block a couple of shots for just maybe a second, and then it drops again. So you can get into really dangerous, really aggressive situations with Clutch, which he loves to do, but you're not just constantly shielding an opponent down and preventing them from even playing the video game back. They have to just completely play a mix-up game and make guesses every few milliseconds to decide, do I shoot now? No. Do I shoot now? No. How about now? No. Am I going to hurt myself with a rocket launcher if I shoot now? It's like, you have to make so many decisions in such a tight time frame when playing against Clutch in something like Duel, where he's rushing down with a shield, that it's really just not fun to play against. It feels very un-Quake. It feels just like it's not the way the game should be played. So this cooldown reduction is going to exacerbate those feelings, because Clutch now needs a few fewer hourglasses to start pounding you with that ability yet again. So I'm not excited for what Clutch is going to be like in this new update. I think Clutch is going to be ridiculous in this update, and if I'm ever playing a duel where I have a chance to ban a champion, I'm going to ban Clutch 100% of the time right now, because it's just not fun to play against, even if it's not overpowered necessarily, but I think it probably is. The champion in its current state is very unfun, so I'm really hoping that something drastic can happen to Clutch to let him become the cool, sick, aggressive robot that he's supposed to be, but not just be so overbearing and unfun to play against. So, kind of a personal plea mixed in with the patch notes, I know. I'm sorry for wasting your time on that, but it's how I really feel. I just don't think the Clutch is in a great spot right now. The drill distance is being increased from 800 to 2,000 UPS. I don't know why this is happening, but now you have a sniper laser yet again, like you used to in previous patches, like back in April, May, something like that maybe. So I don't know why this is happening. I don't think that there was any desire or need for this, but it is happening nonetheless. So I guess Instagib is going to now be be a little more fun for Clutch players, I guess. I mean, I guess that's cool. I don't know. I don't see a whole lot of reason for this. We also have a drill radius increase from 0.16 to 0.17 meters. So basically, Clutch's shaft is bigger than everyone else's shaft, as is appropriate for a giant stinking robot, I guess, if you really swing that way. Next up, we have Galena. The cooldown on her totem has finally been nerfed after months and months and months. It's gone from 30 to 35 seconds. This is not enough of a nerf, but it's something, in my opinion. Unholy Totem's health has been dropped from 50 to 25. This does not affect the healing of the totem. This is purely the health points of the totem itself. So it will now die much more consistently. That's 3 machine gun bullets from any range will kill it, as opposed to, like, what, 6 or 7 from before? I'm not about to do math live here, but it's going to make it much more consistent to kill. So that's very, very, very good. Nyx. Her cooldown is going from 45 to 40 seconds. Probably okay. The champion is incredibly dependent upon her Ghost Walk, upon Hourglasses and farming those, upon just... If you want to play Nyx well, you need to have such amazing map control that it's really not worth it to play her most of the time unless you're just a really, really, really good player. So this should make Nyx a little bit more approachable for the normies out there to make her a little bit better, while also making her a little bit more viable in duel. Now, she's already pretty decent in duel, so she's probably going to become meta for duel yet again with a change like this, but we'll have to wait and see. Next up, yet again, we have some changes coming in for Slash. Her scale is going to be decreased from 1.05x to 1.0x, so she's going back to the size of both her model and her hitbox as she was when she was first built and put into the game. So she's going to be a little bit harder to hit now. She's going to actually be exactly as difficult to hit as she was intended to be when the game first came out. So I think the size change might have just been a small thing they've done with some hit reg issues they've had in the past, just to make her a little bit easier to hit. But now that those are all nailed down, Slash is going back to her intended size. Next up, Plasma Trail is having a speed boost increase from 0.2 to 0.25x, and her maximum speed without Plasma Trail is being increased by 40 UPS from 680 to 720. So I don't believe that these are individually huge changes for the champion. I don't think they make that much of a difference to her, but maybe it'll be enough to nudge her into a more playable state. Because right now I feel that she's a little bit underpowered, she's a little bit weak. Even if you're super god tier with Slash, it's just, you could just pick a better champion most of the time unless you can really abuse that crouch sliding. But the champion overall, with her stack and some other weirdness that she has, really suffers overall. So hopefully these changes are enough to get her back into a better state of balance. Next up, everybody's favorite lizard Sorlag is receiving a buff, and a number of buffs actually. Her maximum speed is increasing by 40 UPS. She's going to be just as fast as Slash at 720 at maximum speed. That does not mean her acceleration is anywhere near as good as Slash's, so don't be saying that Sorlag is as fast as Slash, because she's not. But that maximum speed does happen to be identical now. So is this really a big change overall? In my opinion, no. I don't think it really matters for Sorlag a whole lot whether she's going 680 or 720. She's still going to be fast AF, just running up on people and spitting on them and doing crazy things if you're a high-level player and you're good at CPM movement. But the extra 40 UPS, I don't think is a huge deal. What really you should be doing with Sorlag is if you're playing an objective game mode, you should be using rocket boosting, rocket jumping a whole lot to get your speed way past 720 and up into the thousands, because then you can really mess with people and do some crazy things, some crazy drive-bys with this champion that no other champion can really reliably do, at least not as well as Sorlag can. Maybe Ranger can do some cool stuff because he takes less rocket damage, but I mean, come on. Get a freaking lizard flying 1,000 UPS past you while spraying you with acid spit. Like, it's just something that no other champion can really compete with. So, I don't think the max speed change matters. I don't think it changes anything. I think Sorlag is overall going to become better because of some of these other changes. So, for one, her spit cooldown is going from 40 to 35 seconds. This means that Sorlag is going to be an absolute nuisance, more so than she already is. That spit being up so often means that, well, I mean, come on, you don't need to tell me why more spit is good for Sorlag, right? It's going to be a problem for you to deal with if you are not also Sorlag. So get ready for a lot more lizards to be plaguing your video games. Next up, we also have some bunny hop maximum help speed changes. Basically, this means that if you're holding the space bar and like W only, overall, you're going to get a small speed boost with every jump. Slowly, you're going to go up to 500 UPS that way. So if you don't know how to do the CPMA movement, you can at least get a little bit of speed and have a little bit of that air control given to you for free, but it's holding W and spacebar essentially. So I don't recommend you play the champion that way. It's kind of be really crappy to play it that way, but you can, and the speed maximum has gone from 4 to 500. So I mean, hey, why not, right? We also have some circle strafe friction being buffed. So before it was a value of 14, now it's a value of 12. I don't know exactly what that means to, tell you, like, she can now turn, with a tighter radius of this amount. I don't know what the actual change is going to be, like, in a way that matters for you, the viewer. But essentially what this change should mean is that Sorlag can make tighter turns now without losing as much or any speed. So she's going to overall be a little bit more maneuverable alongside that max speed change. Maybe it'll account to something, but I think the only change that really matters here for Sorlag is that cooldown reduction. I think that's the major thing here that's going to help her out a lot. Next up, we've got Strog and Peeker. There is actually a very major change to Strog and Peeker that is not in the patch notes, and I do not know why, but we're going to talk about it. So, this is the biggest thing. The rest of these changes barely even matter. The change that really does matter is that now, when you're Strog, you press F to activate Peeker, right? Normally what you would do, if you're a high-level Strug and Peeker player in 2v2 or duel, is instead of pressing the ability button once, you press that sucker twice. And what happens the moment you spawn Peeker? He is already using the dive ability and has become a predator missile for you to use to your leisure. Well, that has been nerfed. So now you can no longer double tap the ability activation button in order to send Peeker into an instant dive. When you spawn Peeker, he has a 2-second-ish timer before you're allowed to activate Peeker's dive ability. So this means that you now must use the drone for its intended purpose, to drone and to just poke people and to be useless for a while. And then you can dive it after roughly 2 to 3 seconds. So Strog is probably completely dead in 2v2s and duels. He is probably completely and utterly dead in these modes. So I don't know why they did this, but Strog, he did. So you're going to play him in TDM probably only, and he's still going to be okay, I guess, but I just don't know, man. Like, they're going to have to make the drone a lot hardier in order to make, drone-centric play actually, like, matter, but they make it too strong, it's just going to be super annoying to fight against, and frankly, I mean, just the Peeker ability is just so, again, it's just such an un-Quake thing that it's really impossible to get the balance right. But what they're trying, this patch, is to bring the cooldown down to 35 seconds. They're bringing the duration of Peeker up to 45 seconds. Who stays in Peeker for 45 seconds anyways? Who stays in Peeker for 10 seconds? What? So, I mean, really, that doesn't matter at all, but if you're playing against people that are incompetent enough to let you stay in Peeker mode for 45 seconds without killing it, and you actually do stuff that matters, then good for you. That's great, but you're not going to have a match like that pretty much ever. So the duration changes literally do not matter at all. Drone health going up from going up to 90 HP from 80. Is there really any situation where this matters a whole lot? Not really. Railguns are still going to one-hit it. The nail gun is going to be 5 hits instead of 4 to kill it. The super nail gun, rather. Machine gun will take a few extra bullets. Shotgun, I mean, wait an extra quarter second for it to get closer to you while it's diving before you shotgun it, I guess. I mean, like, the drone is still super, super weak. The only real change that matters with this thing is that now the damage it deals with the nail gun, quote-unquote nail gun that it uses, has been doubled. So it's now 20 per shot instead of 10. And the fire rate has been reduced as well to not make the DPS completely ridiculous. So this is going to be the only change to Peeker that somewhat matters, but not really. I mean, if they're forcing us to use Peeker as an actual drone now, then, I mean, I guess at least we're doing 20 damage per shot. And the drone shot cooldown going up means that hopefully the drone will be ever so slightly less oppressive in Instagib, but it's still going to be pretty ridiculous. But at least the fire rate is a little bit lower, so maybe you have a little bit better chance of evading those nails. So good luck with that, I guess. But Strogan Peeker is just in a very strange place right now, and I don't know what to think. I need to play him a lot on this balance patch to see just what they did to this guy, because his playstyle has completely and utterly been turned on its head. And finally, the one change to potentially rule them all, the one that people have probably been wanting more so than anything else in the game for the past few months, we have visor nerfs. Hopefully they're big, right? Well, not so much. Your cooldown has gone from 45 seconds to 50. That's it. No other change to visor. Just a cooldown increase of 5 seconds. 1 hourglass. That's it. Anyways, guys, that's just about it. That's all the updates that I feel are terribly important to you as the average Joe Schmo player. Thank you for coming to watch. I apologize for not being super excited for this update, but, well, hopefully things turn out better than I think they will, and things will look better come August for QuakeCon. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.